Hi everyone, welcome back to our weekly show, The Subcontinent. We are here to bring light to some of the most important issues affecting the region. Along with an in-depth analysis of the topics and perspectives from regional and international experts, we shall review what key players think and what the common people have to say.
In this edition of The Subcontinent, we will be reviewing a new law imposed on the innocent people of the Indian-occupied Kashmir to see how the already oppressed Muslim majority population of Kashmir would lose further autonomy and freedom. And we shall look into the dire conditions of the Rohingya primarily residing in refugee camps of Bangladesh amid the novel coronavirus outbreak.
After stripping away the autonomy of Kashmir through the revocation of Articles 370 and 35A of the Indian Constitution, critics say that Kashmiri autonomy and independence are yet again under attack by a new law, the recently enforced Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Order. This law repealed 29 state laws of Kashmir and changed the rest. Now, non-Kashmiris are allowed to buy land in Kashmir and apply for government jobs in the region. Critics say that people of Kashmir are going through a similar kind of oppression that the people of Palestine are going through.
Officially called Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Adaptation of State Laws Order 2020 sent chills down the spines of natives of the region who woke up to the news on April 1st. Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist government has presented new laws for India-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, including a contentious domicile law which offers legal rights for people from other areas of India who live in the region. The timing of the announcement came during the time when the region is in a 21-day lockdown with India because of the coronavirus. The announcement came 8 months after Modi's government scrapped Kashmir's semi-autonomous status. The 70-year-old law had safeguarded the territory from demographic changes and established work and land rights for native residents. Under the new legislation, anyone who has lived in Kashmir for 15 years is eligible for domicile status, can purchase land and apply for government employment. The new law has again brought heightened anxieties among domiciles of Jammu and Kashmir regarding a Machiavellian order for demographic flooding of the Indian-occupied state. The announcement of the Ministry of Home Affairs also gives domicile status to the children of government officials who have served in Indian-occupied Kashmir for a total of 10 years.
Understanding how this law affects Kashmiris requires context. The oppressed people of the disputed Himalayan region have been going through systematic persecution and institutionalized discrimination since decades. The Indian government has been accused of quashing their struggle for freedom through extrajudicial killings, mass arrests, enforced disappearances, and frequent brutal lockdowns. According to many Kashmiris, this new law is another attempt to weaken the Kashmiri identity, destroy its spirit of freedom, and provide space for others to come to Kashmir and exploit its riches, while its political leadership either remains helpless or remains under detention.
The hyper-nationalist BJP strongly disapproved of the semi-autonomous status given to the state of Kashmir decades ago. In 1947, British India was split into Hindu-majority India and Pakistan as land for Muslims, but Kashmir's status was left undetermined. It was granted a degree of autonomy, a right to draft its own laws and constitution. Before the revocation of Article 370 and 35A, it was the Regional Assembly that had the power to define a domicile of the state. The amendment has been viewed by Jammu and Kashmiris as purposeful for settling outsiders to change the demography of the state. The new domicile law provides entitlements to Indians whose settlement in the region will be legalized. It is essentially redrawing the rules of employment and land purchase in the region. Already facing decades of turmoil, unemployment has become a serious concern. According to Centre for Monitoring Indian Economy 2019, nearly a quarter of Jammu and Kashmir's population is unemployed with a rate of 22%. 250,000 educated young people in Jammu and Kashmir are burdened with the lack of employment and struggle to find jobs due to the lack of a job policy and outreach. With the abrogation of Article 370, residents experience a competition with candidates from all over India.
To know more about the situation in Kashmir, we are now joined by our guest, Mr. Mirza Saib Beg, who is a Kashmiri lawyer working on legal and political issues surrounding Kashmir. Mr. Beg, welcome to the program. First question that I would like to ask you is very related to the situation in Kashmir right now amid the Article 370. How has the lockdown and shutdown of the internet in Jammu and Kashmir affected job security and employment opportunities over there?
Yes. Well, to begin with, it's important to highlight that we still have people who are in detention. And since you are asking about employment and job opportunities, many people who are still in detention, Kashmiris who are still in detention in jails, various jails in India, many of them are the only earning members of their family. So this has placed tremendous financial burden on their families. The internet shutdown in itself has completely paralyzed our e-commerce industry. Although of late some level of internet connectivity has been permitted, but it's not enough to have an e-commerce platform in Kashmir. In fact, there has been no study done by the Indian government of the losses that we have suffered over the last month, or all these months since August 5, of the kind of effect that the internet shutdown has caused on our economy. The only study that has come is from the Kashmir Chamber of Commerce, which as late as November had suggested that $2.4 billion have been lost because of the shutdown. And we've also learned that the Kashmiri export has declined by 62%, and tourism in Kashmir has declined by over 86%. So the impact of the shutdown has proven to be calamitous on Kashmir's economy. It has crushed whatever little innovation, whatever little e-commerce industry we had over there. And in the initial days, in the initial months, it saw an exodus of young people leaving the state, going outside Kashmir in search of employment opportunities, and even to perform basic administrative tasks such as filling of examination forms. So the effect has been a crushing blow to our economy. But this has been absolutely recklessly done by the Indian government, and there has been no study into the effect that the effects that people are still reeling from.
Truly very unfortunate to hear what is going on. The unemployment rate in India is said to be around 13%, while in Jammu and Kashmir it is more than that, I guess, now due to the lockdown. Earlier it was 22%. What is your opinion on the political intention behind the new domicile law? I want to address this issue.
So the Center for Monitoring of Economy suggests that the unemployment rate in non-urban areas, in rural areas, is at 13%. But in urban areas, it has risen to 14.5%. And it's set to worsen after the lockdown, the coronavirus lockdown that we are going through right now. Now, a 2016 economic survey report from Kashmir, on Kashmir, had suggested that between the age group of 19 to 28, nearly 25% of Kashmiris are unemployed. That's a quarter of our young population that is unemployed. Now, the state has been the bulk of the provider of employment opportunities in Kashmir, because all other opportunities for employment from the private sector have been crushed. So the state is a repository of jobs for most people. The total number of jobs to go around from the state, from in grade A to grade D posts, is about 4.8 lakh, or about 500,000 posts in total. The new domicile law allows any person from India to come to Kashmir who qualifies the criteria. Any person who qualifies the criteria can come to Kashmir and get employment over there. Until now, these 4.8 lakh jobs, only Kashmiris were eligible for them. So no Indian citizen, no person who is not a Kashmiri state subject could apply for these jobs. But now, anyone who has lived in Kashmir for 15 years or studied in Kashmir for 7 years, or has his parents who have worked in Kashmir for 10 years, will qualify for these posts as well. So the new domicile law effectively increases the competition on Kashmiris who are already suffering from tremendous unemployment.
Thank you, Mr. Beg, for those very interesting facts that you shared with us. I would like you to see what the regional and international media are saying regarding this issue, and then we can come back to the question and answer session. Please stay with us.
J&K APNI party president and former minister Altaf Bukhari too was in talks with top BJP leadership expressing his disappointment with the new law, especially after his last month meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in which he was assured safeguard of domicile rights. The world is fighting the demon of coronavirus, and Indian rulers are busy usurping the rights of Kashmiris. A lockdown in Indian-administered Kashmir has cost its economy more than $2.4 billion since the government stripped it of its special status. A report by the Kashmir Chamber of Commerce and Industries, which Ashik heads, said the communications lockdown resulted in a loss of tens of thousands of jobs.
All right, welcome back, Mr. Beg. So what is your opinion on concerns that this new law will cause demographic flooding?
Well, this is the legitimate fear that all Kashmiris have right now, that since now Indians have been given the permission to buy land in Kashmir as long as they qualify the domicile status. They can buy land in Kashmir and they can gain employment, they can get employment opportunities in Kashmir also. So there is a legitimate fear that this will cause demographic flooding. However, it might not happen immediately right now because Kashmir is a volatile zone and no sensible person is going to want to move to Kashmir with his family and children. However, this is an opportunity for those people who have been serving in the army and bureaucracy. For them, because they've been living in Kashmir for a long time, their children will now get an opportunity over there. And their children have also been studying in army schools in Kashmir, so they will get an opportunity to make use of this move by the Indian government to purchase a holiday home in Kashmir. So this is the move which is more intended right now for elite Indians who can invest into property in Kashmir to develop it for tourist purposes, or to buy a home which will serve as a holiday home. Common Indians will not be moving in immediately. However, in the near future, that is a legitimate fear that as we may be seeing militarized settlements coming up over there, immediately right now, the biggest concern is coming from corporates in India. For example, while we have no elected government in the state, nearly 270 hectares of our forest land have been cleared to make way for developmental projects which have been sanctioned by the Indian government. So in many ways, we do see a sinister move over here where over the next decade, there will be significant attempts being made by the Indian government to create a demographic flooding. Although immediately, we don't see that happening right now. Right now, the move is more intended to gain centralized control in Kashmir and to disempower Kashmiris politically, financially. So all independent structures that we have had in Kashmir, which have governed our economy, which have helped us maintain some modicum of internal autonomy, all of those structures are now being dismantled.
All right, thank you, Mr. Beg, for being with us on our show. It was nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
After the law passed, Modi establishment faced harsh criticism on social media platforms. Let's see how people reacted online, and then we can come back to the show. Thanks.
Masood Khan refers to the Kashmiris' fear that around 800,000 Indian soldiers and 600,000 migrant workers may be granted the new domicile status. Kashmir Civitas believes that India's policy in the region is to set up the stage for settler colonialism and demographic changes. Ritu Rathore asks about the purpose of abolishing the Article 370 and the results of the new domicile law. Regarding the new domicile law, Farooq bin Ali pessimistically predicts that Kashmir and the Muslim majority of it will lose control of the region in the near future.
Over 1 million stateless Rohingya fled genocidal persecution from Myanmar, and most of them found refuge in Bangladesh. Their problems did not end there, and now a new problem has emerged amid the coronavirus outbreak. Since September 2019, Bangladeshi authorities have prevented Rohingya refugees from obtaining mobile SIM cards, while operators have been told to restrict their coverage in refugee camps. This can be a major problem because access to internet and mobile phones is crucial in spreading awareness regarding the novel coronavirus outbreak and its defeat.
Living conditions for refugee camps couldn't be worse in the age of coronavirus. They fled wars, persecutions and economic hardship, but in Cox's Bazar, they are stranded with no place to run and no place to hide from COVID-19. 2020 indicates the third year of banishment for most Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh, following their flight from Myanmar in 2017. The people and government have displayed solidarity in receiving the Rohingya refugees. The government has taken steps to prevent the spreading of the virus, having allocated $5.8 million to buy new equipment and raise public awareness. But why has the government not restored internet access in Cox's Bazar? Under 1 million of these refugees live in informal settlements at Cox's Bazar, where sanitation has always been an issue. Living conditions are so crowded that social distancing is a privilege and a luxury that these people don't have. The Rohingya Medics Organization warns that the outbreak could lead to an enormous loss of life. But last September, Bangladesh's government shut down most of the internet and telecommunication networks in and around the camps. So people have little access to information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, and they have little information about what COVID-19 is or how to stop it.
These refugees already live in tightly packed, densely populated camps, which makes them even more vulnerable to the COVID-19 virus. Social isolation and self-quarantine would nearly be impossible under conditions where people don't even have proper living spaces. What is shocking is that, according to human rights groups, not only have the refugees been restricted in communication and access to information, but thousands of SIM cards have deliberately been snatched from refugees, and the camps are now being fenced by barbed wires.
Coordinated efforts by humanitarians on public health issues have become impaired as the internet remains shut down. The Telecommunication Regulatory Commission has banned mobile carriers from selling SIM cards to Rohingya refugees. With reports of the first confirmed case in the local community in Cox's Bazar, the spread to the camps now looks inevitable. Government restrictions intensified following a failed attempt to repatriate refugees to Myanmar. Fearing they would return to the same violence and oppression in Myanmar, refugees held a large rally in August 2019. Since then, internet access has not been restored, and authorities describe the decision as a security measure. As of early April 2020, there's been a total of 123 confirmed cases in Bangladesh with 13 deaths. The country has taken strict measures to protect its population. However, the internet shutdown is causing major concerns over risking the health and lives of over 1 million people and the Bangladesh host community. Lack of fast communication is hindering aid groups' ability to provide emergency health services and rapidly coordinate essential preventative measures. A COVID-19 outbreak in these settlements not only will endanger the lives of refugees, but also the people of Bangladesh, who will come into contact with the infection, making containment severely difficult and expensive.
We would now like to welcome our guest, Mr. Ne Son Lin, a Rohingyan activist and a blogger. Mr. Lin, welcome back to the show. So why do you think we see this continued ban on internet in Rohingya refugee camps in Bangladesh?
We have never expected this will happen in Bangladesh camp. Unfortunately, this has been happening for many months. The Bangladesh government has been saying that they have shut down the 3G and 4G network to prevent the criminal activity. But as I found, that is not really true, because you know that the criminal are if the criminal want to engage in any criminal activity, they can just get out from the camp area and they can go any other place and use the internet. So this basically from the Bangladesh government, they don't want to give us the access to the internet. That is why they have stopped it. Their excuse are not acceptable.
Yes, that is certainly worthy of concern. And global media has also pointed out to some of the issues that you were talking about. Let's go see what the global media is saying regarding this issue and how they're covering it, and then we can come back to the question and answer session.
The Bangladesh government is in a race against the clock to contain the spread of coronavirus, including in the Rohingya refugee camps, and can't afford to waste precious time with harmful policies. Brad Adams, Asia Director at Human Rights Watch. 50 rights groups urge Bangladesh government to end limitations on movement, internet and mobile use. Dozens of international rights groups have called on Bangladesh to lift restrictions imposed on the persecuted Rohingya community living in the Cox's Bazar refugee settlement. Local health experts say there are no ventilators in Cox's Bazar and no capacity for intensive medical care in the camps, while the government of Bangladesh has said that the Rohingya will be given access to government medical facilities if needed.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Lack of internet access would mean a less access of information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Has the government taken proportionate actions that would make up for this problem?
As no one has the internet access, especially to the 3G and the 4G, with the 2G they cannot do anything. They cannot access to the Facebook or the Twitter or any other messaging app on their smartphone. So we cannot send them all the information in regard to the COVID-19, and also the international NGO based in Cox's Bazar. There are a lot of restrictions to accessing the camp. So basically, we need the internet to spread out all the message to the refugee, more than 1 million Rohingya refugee in the camp. So this internet ban is really impacting, and we don't really know how many thousand still there, and aware of this COVID-19. And the Bangladesh government has taken some action and for the isolation bed. And I also heard about the Save the Children is trying to set up a hospital with a 160 bed, and they are going to provide the 160 physician, but this is not going to enough for the more than 1 million. And also in the Cox's Bazar area, there is no ventilator and no ICU bed for the more than 3 million, including the host community and the Rohingya.
Thank you, Mr. Lin, for coming back to our show. It was nice having you here. Now, people from all over the world have given mixed reactions regarding the policies of the Bangladesh government. Before ending the show, let's see how some of the users have reacted online to this issue.
Kenneth Roth suggests that the Bangladeshi government should prosecute any criminal act in the refugee camps instead of cutting off their connection. The New Humanitarian's tweet claims that the internet ban in the refugee camps has harmed the refugees more than others. Phil Robertson is concerned about the refugee situation amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He believes the internet ban will cost many lives. Jerry Simpson believes that cutting off access of over 1 million refugees to the internet prevents them from protecting themselves against the novel coronavirus. Poppy McPherson claims that Bangladesh has restored the internet in the camps. However, 100,000 remain under an internet blackout in Rakhine State.
With this, we sign off this episode. We're trying our best to improve the show according to your feedback. So let us know if you find anything important or interesting in the region, or if you have any feedback regarding the show. Follow us and reach out to us on our social media platforms to stay updated, and we will meet the same time, same day next week. Thanks for watching.